Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ngabire Jean Tutier, and this is my contact. I'm going to present you multiple choices and questions on auditing. First question: audit of bank is an example of which of the following audit? Statutory audit, balance sheet audit, concurrent audit, both A and B, all of the above? Yes. Audit of bank is an example of all of these three types of audit you have given. Second question: concurrent audit is a part of which? Internal check systems, continuous audit, internal audit systems. None of the above. The right answer of concurrent audit is a part of internal audit systems. In Rwanda, balance sheet audit is synonymous to which of the following? Annual audit, continuous audit, not. Detailed audit, not. Statutory audit, not. The right answer, balance sheet audit, is the same as annual audit. Fourth question: audit in deep is synonymous for complete audit, completely audit, final audit, detailed audit. Audit in deep is the same as detailed audit. Balance sheet audit include verifications of asset, liability, income, and expenses account where appropriate. All of the above. Balance sheet audit include verifications of asset, liability, and income and expenses account where appropriate. Which of the following statement is not true about continuous audit? A. It is conducted at regular interval. It may be carried out on daily basis. It is needed when the organization has good internal control systems. It is expensive. The right answer is C. Continuous audit is needed when the organization has good internal control systems. Which of the following is not a factor of EPA? Economic audit, efficient audit, expenditure audit, effective audit. The right answer stands for EPA is expenditure audit. Question number 8. The Delhi government has constructed 6 bungalows for its ministries. They are lying and unoccupied for last 3 years. This would be a matter of concern for property auditor, performance auditor, financial auditor. None of the above. Question number 10. Balance sheet does not include verifications of asset and liability, vouching of income and expenses account related to asset and liability, examinations of adjusting and closing entries, a routine check. Balance sheet does not include a routine check, but does it include those remaining three. Which of the following statement is not correct about materiality? Materiality is a relatively concept. Materiality adjustment involves both quantitative and qualitative judgment. Auditors' considerations of materiality is influenced by the auditor's perceptions of the needs of an informed decision maker who will rely on the financial statement. At the planning stage, the auditor considers materiality at the financial statement level only. This is not correct about materiality. The first three statements are correct about materiality statement. The audit risk, the materiality, and the audit effort complete the provided spaces for appropriate answers. Lower audit risk, higher the materiality, and lower the audit effort. This is the right word can complete on these provided spaces. Question 13. When issuing an unqualified opinion, the auditor who evaluates the auditing findings should be satisfied that the amount of known misstatement is documented in working paper. The estimate of the total likely misstatement is less than materiality level is when an auditor qualifies the report. In determining the level of materiality for an audit, what should not be considered? Prior year errors, the auditor's remuneration cannot be considered when determining the materiality level. And prior errors are considered. The estimate in interim financial statement are considered. Prior financial statement are considered. Next question. Analytical procedure issued in the planning stage of an audit generally help to determine the nature, timing, and extent of other audit procedure. Direct attention to potential risks area. Indicate important aspects of business. All of the above. At analytical procedure issued in the planning stage of an audit generally, all these three are considered. Which of the following statement is most closely associated with analytical procedure applied at substantive stage? It helps to study the relationship among balance sheet account. It helps to discover material misstatement in financial statement. It helps to identify possible oversight. It helps to accumulate evidence supporting the validity of specific account balances. Next question. For all audit or of material mistake of financial statement made in accordance with Audit and Assurance Standard 14, the use of analytical procedure is at the discretion of the auditor in which stage? Substantive testing. The basic assumption underlying the use of analytical procedure is It helped the auditors to study relationship among elements of financial information. Is the basic assumptions underlying the use of analytical procedure is the relationship among the data exists and they continue in the absence of known condition to the contrary. What are analytical procedure? Substantive test designed to assess control risk. Substantive test designed to evaluate the validity of management representation rate. Substantive tests designed to study relationship between financial and non-financial. This is the definitions of analytical procedure. Which of the following is not an analytical procedure? Tracking of purchases recorded in the purchase book to purchase invoice. This is not an analytical procedure. Comparing aggregate wage paid to number of employees is an analytical procedure. Comparing the actual cost with standard cost is an analytical procedure. All of them are analytical procedure, not. The first is not. When applying an analytical procedure, an auditor could develop independent estimates of an account balances to compare it to current and unedited account balance. Current unedited account balance adjusted for trend in the industry. Prior audited balance. Prior audited balance adjusted for trend in industry. Is when applying an analytical procedure, auditor could develop independent estimate of an account balance to compare it to prior adjusted balances adjusted for trend in the industry. What is the primary objectives of an analytical procedure used in the overall review stage of an audit? Is to help to collaborate the conclusion drawn from the visual component of financial statement. Of the following, which of the following, among the following, which is the least persuasive type of audit evidence? Bank statement obtained from the client, document obtained by auditor from third party directly, carbon copy of sales invoice inspected by the auditor. This is the least persuasive type of audit evidence. Which of the following statement is generally correct about the reliabilities of audit evidence? To be reliable, evidence should conclude rather than persuasive. Effective internal control system provide reliance audit evidence. This is correct about reliability of audit evidence. In an audit of financial statement, substantive tests are audit procedure that may be eliminated for an account balance under certain conditions, are designed to discover significant subsequent event will increase proportionately when the auditor decreases the assessed level of control risk. Maybe tests of transaction, test of balances, and analytical procedure. Is a substantive tests in audit procedure. The nature, timing, and extent of substantive procedure is related to assess the level of control risk randomly, disproportionately, directly. nature, timing, and extent of substantive procedure is related to assess the level of control risk directly. Which of the following factors is most important in determining the appropriate of audit evidence, the reliability of audit evidence, and its relevance in meeting the audit objectives? When is evidential matter generally considered sufficient? When it constitutes entire population, when it is enough to provide a basis for giving reasonable assurance regarding truthfulness. Which of the following is not a collaborative evidence? Minutes of meeting, confirmation from data, information gathered by auditor through observation, worksheet supporting consolidated financial statement. This is not a collaborative evidence. But the first three are the collaborative evidence. Which of the following statement is not true with respect to management representation obtained as per Audit and Assurance Standard 11? Authenticated copy of relevant minutes of meeting may be regarded as management representation. It should always be in working. Yeah, this is not true. It may be dated prior to the report dates. It should be addressed to the auditors. All these are correct in respect to the presentation obtained as per Audit and Assurance Standard 11. What would most appropriately describe the risks of incorrect rejection in terms of substantive tests? The conclude balance is materially correct when in actual fact it is not. The auditor concludes that the balance is materially misstated when in actual fact it is not. In that case, the risks of incorrect rejection in terms of substantive testing. Which of the following affect audit effectiveness? Risk of variance, risk of incorrect rejection, risk of incorrect acceptance, both A and C. Risk of variance and risk of incorrect acceptance may affect audit effectiveness. What will do or do most collectively describe the risk of incorrect acceptance in terms of substantive audit testing? The auditor has ascertained that the balance is materially incorrect when in actual fact it is not. In that case, the risk of incorrect acceptance in terms of substantive audit testing. Which of the following auditing assurance standard deal with audit planning? Audit and Assurance Standard 7, Audit and Assurance Standard 8 is deal with planning. Audit program is prepared by the auditor, the client, the audit assistant, the auditor and his assistant. Both auditor and his assistant are prepare the audit program. The working paper which auditor prepare for financial statement audit are evidence for audit conclusion, owned by the client, owned by the auditor. Yeah, the working paper are prepared. The auditor prepare for financial statement auditing are owned by the auditor. The quantity of audit working paper complied on engagement would most be affected by management integrity, auditor's experience, and professional judgment. Yeah, the quantity of audit working paper complied on engagement would most be affected by the auditor's experience and professional judgment. Which of the following best describe the primary purpose of audit program preparation? To detect error or frauds, to comply with general accepted accounting principles, to gather sufficient appropriate evidence. Yes, the primary purpose of audit program preparation is to gather sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Which of the following is not an advantage of preparations of working paper? To provide a basis for review of audit work, this is an advantage. To provide a basis for subsequent audit is an advantage. To ensure audit work is being carried out as per program is an advantage. But to provide a guide for advising another client on a similar issue, this is not an advantage of preparing a working paper. The auditor's permanent working paper file should not normally include extract from client bank statement. This is not included in an auditor's permanent working paper file. For what minimum period should audit working paper be retained by audit firm? For the time period the entity remains as a client of the audit firm, for a period of 10 years, for a period auditors opine them to be useful in serving the client. This is the time, the minimum time which audit working paper are retained by the audit firm. Which of the following factors would least likely affect the quantity and the content of an auditor's working paper? The assessed level of control risk, the possibility of peer review, the nature of auditor's report, the content of management representation letter. Yes. The factor would least likely affect the quantity and the content of an auditor's working paper is the content of management representation letter. Which of the following statement is true regarding an auditor's working paper? They document the level of independence maintained by the auditor. They should be considered as the principal support for the auditor's report. Yes. This statement is true regarding auditor's working paper. Which of the following statement best describe the understanding with respect to ownership and custody of working paper prepared by the audit. The following paper may be obtained by third party when they appear to be relevant to issue raised in litigation, when they will be needed or used as evidence in the court, should be obtained by third party. The current file of the auditor's working paper generally should include a flow chart of the internal control, organization chart, a copy of financial statement. The current file of the auditor's working paper generally should include a copy of financial statement. Knowledge of the entity's businesses does not help the auditors to reduce inherent risk. The main advantage of using statistical sampling technique is that such technique mathematically measure risk. That is the main advantage of using statistical sampling technique. Which of the following method of sample selection is least suitable for extrapolation result to the population? Systematic sampling, random sampling, haphazard sampling is the best method of sample selection for suitable for extrapolation result to the population. Which of the following statement is correct? Lower the sampling risk, greater the sample size. Smaller the tolerable error, greater the sample size. Lower expected error, smaller the sample size. Or are correct. All of this, if we have lower risk, have to use a sample size which is greater. If there is a smaller tolerable error, we have to use sample size which is greater. If the expected error is low, we have to use smaller sample size. Which of the following features is most important for random-based selection? Sample should be drawn from population. Every strata of population should be represented in the sample. Every item in the population has an equal chance of being selected in the sample. This is most important for random-based selection. Every item in the population has an equal chance of being selected in the sample. Risks of unreliance is the risks that the sample selected to test control does not support the auditor's plan to assess the level of control risk when the true operating effectiveness of the control structure justifies such an assessment. Which of the following factors is or are considered in determining the sample size for test of control? Projected error, tolerable error, expected error, both B and C. Tolerable error and expected error are the factors considered in determining the sample size for test of control. Tolerable error is the maximum monetary error that the auditor is prepared to accept in the populations and still conclude that audit objectives has been achieved is directly related to sample size, audit risk, materiality. If there is maximum monetary errors, that the auditor is prepared to accept in the populations and still conclude that audit objectives have been achieved is related to materiality. Thank you for watching. This is the end of my presentation of today. Let's meet next time. I'm still preparing it for you. The multiple question is actually asked by the Minister of Labor and Public Service for different positions like accounting, director of finance, financial management specialist, internal auditors, and so on. All right, stop here. We meet tomorrow.